Okay, okay, I get it. I know. It's been months. It's been weeks. It's a new year. It's 2021. I get it. I don't upload like I should. Will I do it frequently? Maybe. But anyways, that's not the point. Today, I wanted to make a short video and a question to anybody that actually watches this. If you watch, even if it's one person that comments back, that's better than zero. My question is, what makes you an audiophile? What makes anybody an audiophile? What is an audiophile? I kind of just wanted to ask that question and just kind of go over what an audiophile is and maybe some characteristics that might make myself, an audiophile, or you, the viewer watching it, whoever you are in the world, an audiophile. It, I was working out and I was just thinking about, am I an audiophile? Like, what makes me that? So, having money and buying expensive audio equipment, does that make you an audiophile? Or are you born being an audiophile? When you're small, when you're a child, and you start, you know, realizing that bad sound that is not good, I guess, in the simplest terms, and there could be more than this. There could be more lifelike to the sound. There could be more depth, more space, more definition when you're a child. Or does it even matter at what age you finally start to realize that maybe there's more to an MP3. There's more to a Spotify nowadays, to a Spotify song, or back then there's more to a song that you downloaded from a free MP3 website at 128 kilobits. So that's my question, and that's something I was dealing with, something I was wondering. Obviously, this isn't anything that I was struggling with, because this is just, it's a hobby at the end of the day. Of course, if you make equipment, if you're in the business, selling, making money from it, then it's your profession. But for the rest of us, it's just a hobby. So, what is an audiophile? Well, I went to Wikipedia, one of the internet's most reliable sources. That's a joke. But from Wikipedia, it says that an audiophile is someone that's enthusiastic about high fidelity sound reproduction. And we can agree with that in both speakers and headphones, because there's always the two worlds, right? There's a speaker world, there's a headphone world. Obviously, most of you guys that are watching are for the headphones. The speakers, those are more rare, just because speakers tend to be way more expensive. It's more expensive, more time consuming, and it's a whole different world. I don't know anything about speakers. I really don't. I know that you use an amplifier just like headphones, and you use a DAC, but then I don't know what about the rooms, about the speakers that are actually good. I know there's speakers that are thousands and hundreds of thousands, but I don't know what's good. I don't know a good brand. Sennheiser doesn't make like top end speakers. Stax doesn't make top end speakers. Neither does Abyss. So I don't know any brands, really. So that's not really my forte. But I do know headphones. I've been knowing about headphones for a long, long time, and I know almost anything for the high-end headphones. Now, mid-range, low-end range, I don't really know that much about it. I don't really mess with it or read up on it, but I do know a lot about the high end, about the top leaders, about the top dogs in the high end. So this video will pretty much be about the headphones, but we can still, apply it to speakers in some way. So an audiophile is a person that is very enthusiastic about high fidelity sound. Are you enthusiastic? I know I am. So I guess that makes us an audiophile. But there's more to it, because an audiophile also seeks to reproduce the sound of a live musical performance. Now, this is true in some ways, but it's not true in other ways. let's listen to an old song like a Rolling Stone from Bob Dylan. Even if you listen to it in the best headphones with the best deck with the best amp, it's gonna be very hard to reproduce that song as if it was live, because that song is maybe 60 years old by now, and it's the technology wasn't as great as it is now. So even if you get it as crystal clear, it's never gonna sound like he's right in front of you. It's gonna sound very clear, very nice, and as high fidelity as you can make it, but it will never sound like he's right in the flesh unless you get a live performance. So maybe that's what makes you an audiophile. Maybe that's not what makes you an audiophile. But it also says that it's widely agreed that reaching this goal is very difficult, and even the best regarded recording playback systems rarely, if ever, achieve, which is true. Just like I said, it's very hard to achieve something like that, because a lot of stuff not just depends on your end, it depends on whoever mastered the song. It depends on what they recorded the song with. It records on when the song came out. If it came out in the 30s, it's going to be almost impossible to recreate it like if they were in front of you. Well, whereas a song now, like a kind of cheap pop song, that one is more easy to recreate, but it might not be. Depends on how they mastered it. So it all just balances out. But in the end, our job is to enjoy the music and try to reach sonic fidelity, sonic perfection, the best that you can until we die, pretty much. Because I think that what makes audiophiles unique is that there's always something new, there's always something to play with. Because there is no perfect headphone, there is no perfect speaker, there's always something different. Just like the headphones, you can have your HD 800s for songs where you want to hear an orchestra, where you need space. Whereas in your Stax 009s, you want to hear someone sing close to the microphone. You can hear the warmth in their sound and their voice. And then if you want crystal clear perfection and kind of a balance of both, get the Abyss 1266, which doesn't have the best space, but it does have a good, let's call it not mid-range, but like a good split in the middle of space. It has perfect crystal clear vocals and decent bass, depending on how you align the ear cups. So it's kind of like you need different headphones for different sounds, and that's what being an audiophile, for me, I think, is what it's all about. You're always in that pursuit of the perfect sound, which we will never get it unless somebody just it's you would have to create the perfect thing, which there's never going to be perfection. So that's what makes being an audiophile like super fun, because you can have different headphones and you don't have to have the high-end stuff. I know that people love their HD 600s because apparently the mid-range on those is really well. You don't have to have the best amp. You can, you have different headphones for different things. That's awesome. So another thing that I wanted to ask is the equipment and the snake oil perspective of this whole audio industry. So does making you as an audiophile, does that mean that you just listen to your equipment, or do you listen to your music? That's one of the questions that everybody always asks each other, themselves. Are you listening to your equipment? Are you listening to the $10,000 you spent on your equipment? Or are you listening to the music that you are reproducing? What is more important? If you're more interested in one or the other, does that make you more or less of an audiophile? Are you just interested in finding a perfect sound and you don't care about the song? You don't care about the lyrics, the beat? You just care about how good it sounds? Does that make you an audiophile? Does that make you crazy? Does that make you not an audiophile? Does that make you a rich snob, a person that has money? Well, yes and no. Well, in my opinion, yes and no. Because obviously, if you spent so much money on equipment, you want to listen to it because you spent the money. You want to see if it's worth the price, for me. But if you're not really spending that much money on equipment, sometimes you just want to listen to the song sound a little bit better. Sometimes you don't care if the equipment sounds that much greater. You just want the song to sound a little bit different and a little bit cleaner than you're used to. So it's a yes and a no. Now, let's say you are one of these other people that believe that cables, like this one right here, silver plated rhodium connectors, not silver plated, pure silver rhodium connector, $200 blue and red cable that connect a DAC to an amp. Do they make difference? Do they make a difference than these cheap $5 Amazon balance cables? Do these $200 cables sound better than these $5 cheap Amazon cables? Obviously they don't. For me, they don't. And that's me, a guy that's bought both. Bought expensive cables, bought really, really cheap cables. I mean, unless you're buying cheap dollar cables from like the dollar store, sometimes they're just made with bad materials. You can kind of maybe listen to the difference a little bit. But anything other than that, I really, really haven't heard any difference. But does that make you an audiophile? Does that make you less of an audiophile because you don't really care about the sound, you just care about your fancy equipment? I don't know. For me, it's a yes and a no. It could make me a better audiophile because maybe I have everything aligned. I have everything that I know is the best, and I know that makes me the best audiophile. But it could also make me the worst audiophile because all I care about is equipment. All I care about is the money that I spent on certain items. So some people believe that cables make a difference. A lot of companies, especially companies that I really look up to, they'll try to sell you that their $900 headphone cables sound better than the stock cables. I'm 99.9% sure that's not true, and somebody will buy it. If nobody bought it, the companies would be out of business. But that's the beauty of being an audiophile. You can have whatever you want. If you're a guy that just cares about the headphones and that's it, you can have that. If you're a guy or a girl, or a circle, if you're a guy, a girl that cares about the cables and the headphones and that's it, you can have that too. If you're someone that cares about the amp, the DAC, the cables, that power cables, the conditioner, the power coming from the tower to your house, to your headphone cable, to your ear cups in your headphones, to the material that your cables are made out of, to the material that's on the bottom of your DAC or your amp so there's no vibrations going to your tubes. If you care about all that, the beauty is that you can have everything you want, which is hard in other areas. For TVs, you can't choose the color of your TV. You can't choose the cables inside your TV. You can't choose a lot of stuff in your TV. You buy a TV, you spend $3,000 on it. Hopefully it looks good enough, better than the other TVs. A PlayStation, you can't upgrade it. You can't really do anything to it. You know, your iPhone, they're pretty much pre-made in just 3 different storage configurations. You know, but for audio, it's completely different. You can have pure silver cables. You can have gold-plated, rhodium-plated, bronze, copper, whatever. You can have whatever you want. You can have anything you'd like. to make you happy. And I think, if I haven't already contradicted myself in this 15-minute video, I think that's the beauty of being an audiophile. And I think that's what makes you an audiophile, me an audiophile. Anybody that's watching this can also be an audiophile. Even if you have your Apple earphones, if you start going into that direction of higher quality FLAC files, maybe a little small DAC/amp for your iPhone, you're already an audiophile. You don't have to be an audiophile and spend a lot of money, but being an audiophile means wanting better sound in the end. And I think that's the end of the video. Go ahead and leave a like, dislike, subscribe, share. And if I didn't make any sense, that's fine. Thank you for watching.